Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Julian and Richard are so close to seeing each other, living in the same city, and yet miles apart. New York City.
Hey, how you doing, Richard?
It's
good to see you.
He left. Is your address? Is it still New York? Even if you live in what's that name of that place you live? Astrid.
So it's called Queens.
Astrid.
Queens.
Astrid. What the hell is Astrid?
I'm trying to remember the name.
Yeah, I don't live anywhere named Astrid. Yeah, no.
Astoria, something like that.
Astoria, Queens. That is correct.
Oh, two cities.
Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York.
I'm less confused now.
We call that a neighborhood. We call that a neighborhood, Mr. Kerr.
Borough is what it was called.
Julian with the Taylor Swift reference very early on. Thank you. My daughter would be proud. He has no idea.
I didn't even know I made one.
She has a song called "Welcome to New York" that my daughter has noted a number of times every time we get to New York City.
Wasn't that a John Legend song?
I mean, I've heard of John Legend, so maybe.
No, maybe I don't know. Thank you for tuning into this week's podcast about travel. We'll get there eventually.
I was going to say, yeah.
Three pop culture warriors here discussing all the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture. Yeah, no, not so much. So yes, as noted by the third box on your screen this week, Julian Kheel is joining us, and we're going to talk a little bit about all the wonderful things that are going on in his world. I don't know what the heck he's doing with the fingers there.
My box. It's my box.
Got it. Well, I mean, all the more reason you should be watching and not listening to the show to be able to see Julian's aerobic prowess, we'll say.
What? What are we talking about?
I didn't know what
is he on the treadmill?
Richard, are you gonna? Richard, I think it's time to do your own show.
Yes,
I think it's time to move on. I think you've hit the ceiling of what you can do here.
No, he did his own show. He did. I have audio. I have proof of it.
Oh, where I carried it solo for the episode.
No. I was the producer for like the 6 episodes of Award Travel 101 podcast when you launched it.
Oh wow, that's going back.
Go back there, listen to some good day. I used to carry that. I never had guests on that show. I carried that solo every week. I carried that thing solo.
Yeah.
Some would call me the Democratic Rush Limbaugh of my generation.
Oh,
the way I carry that.
I don't think nobody would care. Nobody would call you that.
I'm not sure Rush Limbaugh would call you the Democratic Rush Limbaugh of your generation.
It's funny because I'm not a Democrat. I'm also not a Republican. For those of you listening, before anybody starts firing off the reviews.
Great. Yeah, let's just.
This guy on a podcast said the word Democrat. I'm triggered.
We've discussed microphone equity and inclusion, and now we're getting into Richard's political beliefs. Are there any other third rails that we want to tackle before we talk about travel?
Don't touch the third rail. I've read that sign in the subway. That's what I've learned here.
And you've been in the subway. We're aware. You are a man of the people. A man of the people.
I spend a lot of money on the subway. Julian, what is the hack to stop giving the MTA so much money when I see half of the other people just jump the turnstiles every day? I'm like, why am I the sucker paying? Like
I thought, well, you made a big deal before you moved here about how you were going to bike everywhere.
Yeah. And I am, as soon as the built office is not where it currently is, I'm not going to bike. But once it's on the West Side Highway, it's going to be a lot of biking to and from the office.
So it's only if it's a quick bike ride.
No, it's only if I'm not going to get murdered by a car like the West Side Highway with its bike only lanes.
Come on, now you're just being a wuss.
Okay.
Come on,
yeah,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
you got DoorDash guys running around on bikes all day.
And those were like the amount of times I've already had to save Mary from getting murdered by the guy on the sidewalk going on the e-bike 30 miles an hour. I'm like, somebody should really do something about this before I just take one for the team the next time Mary's about to get run over, and I just throw myself in front of this bike.
So somebody should do something about it.
Somebody.
What before we get into actually talking about travel, which we're now about 10 minutes into this without having done that, what would you say has been the biggest surprise so far about living in New York?
This is a very easy question. Very easy question with a very single answer.
Thank you.
I
just lofted it over the plate for you.
I took 5 dress shirts and 2 blazers to the dry cleaners to get cleaned, and when I picked it up, it was $84. $84.
Yeah. Boy, where's that place? That's a good deal.
That's
then start thinking that would
literally be less than $35 back in Georgia. I let out an inaudible "excuse me" when she said $84, and I looked over at the rack expecting her to be like, "Oh, I accidentally gave you these other 10 extra shirts that aren't yours." But she was like, looked at me like, "What is your problem?" And I was like, my problem is this $84 for this dry cleaning. So that experience alone has been just metaphorical of so far hemorrhaging cash here in New York City.
Yeah, you do get to the point with dry cleaning where you think I could just buy a new shirt and it would probably be almost as efficient.
It's funny you say that.
Cheaper.
I did the math. If I wear a shirt
there you go
3 times, I can just buy another one rather than get it cleaned again. I'm at the break-even point. 3 times. That's what I can do. Yeah.
So note to your fellow built employees, if Richard is a little bit smelly in the office, that's probably the 3rd day of the shirt, and the next day should be better.
If I smell like a Macy's, it's because I just buy a new shirt every 3 times that I wear it.
Yeah, if you see those creases where he just took it out of the packaging and put it on, then
Right.
All right, so Richard's biggest surprise so far of New York is that it's expensive.
Well, it's specifically the dry cleaning, which should not be $12
Specifically
per shirt. Like that's Ed used to own a dry cleaner. I don't think he charged anywhere near $12 for just a regular dress shirt. This is not like a prom dress. It's just a regular dress shirt.
I won't tell you how much it costs to clean a prom dress, but did you get to Costco, by the way? We talked about that a lot when we recorded last time. Yeah.
We got side railed by the Dave & Buster's in Brooklyn before we could get to the Costco in Brooklyn. So we're just going to stay at Dave & Buster's now.
Well, we need the Costco update when you have it. But a little bit of housekeeping. You can email us, ed@pizzainmotion.com. He is at Kerpoints on all those social media channels. Julian, I know we've got Points Pass, but I forget. Did you ever get back into your personal Instagram?
I did, at Julian Kheel. Okay. I barely look at it now, but yes, I did get into it.
Yes. Barely look at it. Everybody should bombard that account with
at Points Path. At Points Path is the place to find us.
At Pizza in Motion for me, and you can text us or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. We're going to talk a little bit about travel demand today. Mr. Kerr and I were talking about it in pre-show. And then I want to talk to Julian a little bit about what's going on with Points Path.
What I really want to hear about, what I really want to know is, should I book Spirit flights to Fort Lauderdale for our cruise in November? Will they still be flying? Why not? It's a great deal. They're not going to go anywhere for the foreseeable future, meaning the next 6 months.
I mean, they're in reorganization. So yeah, for 6 months, you're probably safe. I mean, well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about that Spirit will go out of business before then? No, I think you're safe. Are we talking about that particular flight will be delayed or canceled? That's high, I think. I think there's chances of that.
I think Spirit's like number one in on-time arrivals again in operation.
You think? Yeah, well, I guess that's what I'm saying is I think that may start to deteriorate.
They're not number one. They're not number one. They are pretty close to the top of the list. But that being said, and now that I think about it, I keep thinking about you living in Georgia. But if you're talking about New York to South Florida routes, those ones are probably safe. But I mean, they just cut another 20% of flights and furloughed flight attendants, stuff like that. So like, I do think, yes, I think Spirit will still be around at the end of 2025. I think they're going to continue to move planes around as they see fit. That being said, as the weather gets colder, there's an almost unlimited amount of demand to get from New York to South Florida. So you're probably safe there.
Well, and I would add one more point, which is right. I know one of the things, and granted to Florida, it's probably not a big issue, is that though, when you do have a problem with a Spirit flight, there's not necessarily a ton of other flights on Spirit to be rebooked to. Now, again, for Florida, that might be a little different. But I know that people have had issues with that in the past as well. It's not like there's some huge network like Delta or United.
This happens to be over the holidays because now I'm tied to a school calendar. Thank
Lucky
you, America. So it's a little bit expensive for a family of 4 to fly anywhere over the holidays. Go figure, right? So when I was looking at the options, I was like, this is pretty significant cost savings for a family of 4 to go the Spirit route out of Newark. Now that throws in 2 wrinkles. This is out of Newark, which is much better than it was earlier this year, since the second runway opened back up. But
is this Fort Lauderdale you're going to, or somewhere else?
Fort Lauderdale, yeah, home of Spirit, right? So
yeah, okay. So you got options. Like if that like to Julian's point though, if things really did go sideways. I mean, American flies there from New York. JetBlue flies there from New York. Does United fly Newark, Fort Lauderdale? Yeah, they do. They fly Newark, Fort Lauderdale. They don't fly Newark, Miami. So, I mean, you've got options if Spirit goes sideways. They're not going to be cheap.
I think it's fascinating that you use the term that there are wrinkles, because, of course, what you could do is simply not do so much dry cleaning and buy the more expensive Delta flight.
And we just bring it full circle here
that's
on the
another
Miles
option.
podcast.
Yeah, that's called a callback. That's a callback, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
How did we get this deep in a dry
The showmanship you can take the man out of LA, but you cannot take the LA out of the man. Here he is, right here. Yeah, hat tip if you're not watching on YouTube.
You're welcome, America.
Yeah. There's a lot of just we're just very patriotic to you on the show. You're welcome, America, for what we bring to the table here. All
I'm
right, so
not
Spirit's
sure.
still going to fly at the end of the year. Good, booking these flights. Right, I'm going to book them right up.
I'm not sure that I would describe the phrase "You're welcome, America" as very patriotic, but I mean, you do you.
I mean, you're welcome, Europe. Like I don't, I think, I'm not sure.
Thank
how
you,
many
America might be a little bit more patriotic.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I
Do you-
stand corrected, gentlemen. Breaking news here. I just pulled up Google Flights again. Anybody want to guess which airline is $140 cheaper round trip than Spirit to Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, that's an easy answer. That's Spirit. I mean,
American.
JetBlue.
Oh, JetBlue could be JetBlue.
Yeah, it is indeed JetBlue.
It's JetBlue. They're-
292 round trip versus 403 round trip.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, everything I've heard is they are doing everything they can to crush any route where they're competing with Spirit from a pricing standpoint.
And a brand new A220. Wow. Hello, JetBlue. You've got yourself a new customer for this flight. Yeah, there you go.
And I think, I wouldn't swear by this, but I think they're ramping up New York and Boston frequencies and probably likely to Florida just because they've killed some other routes. And so they're repositioning the planes where they're more profitable. So I would imagine, I mean, do you even have Spirit status right now?
I don't have a Sabres Club membership, but I do not have status.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't have status, gosh, yeah, I mean, I would almost certainly go JetBlue, to be honest, because I think you're going to have a lot more options than Spirit in terms of the number of flights flown. Although I don't know if they'll all specifically be out of Newark. They fly, obviously, most of their stuff out of JFK. So is it, for where you live, what's the easiest airport for you to get to? LaGuardia, I assume?
They would have some out of LaGuardia, right, to Fort Lauderdale.
They probably do.
Is there anything there? Yeah, they probably do.
Sure,
Yeah.
they do. We are equidistant from Newark and LaGuardia. Just depends on traffic. So like it's much more of the time of day you're going to depart or take off for which airport
So
I'm
let
going
me
to
pull
go
up. I'm just pulling this up here, and we're going to pull up JetBlue.
I hope Jeremiah will be cutting all of this part out of the show where we're just looking
Nah.
at flight schedules.
to. Yeah.
So it's very exciting. So I'm seeing very few LaGuardias. I see 3 LaGuardias. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 JFKs.
When in doubt, Alaska Miles on American.
4,
Seems to
5.
be pretty good availability lately. Like every time I search on
That
Points
is,
Pass, it's telling me just use Alaska
yep.
Miles on American. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that is why I ended up getting a Summit card, because I thought, I'm going to be able to use lots of these Alaska Miles because I keep seeing these amazing deals pop up. It is really amazing how much space American is making available to Alaska and how cheap it is.
I will be paying my New York City rent on the Summit card to get 3x miles, even though there's a 3% fee.
Mhm.
Like, because the spend thresholds on that new card are awesome as well. Another global companion certificate that you can top off. Like, it's just, again, in my unbiased opinion, a no-brainer.
I'm the only one on this podcast currently that does not have the credit card, and that's only because I continue to have very frustrating issues with banks. I tried to apply for the card, and even being a Bank of America customer and being logged in on a browser into my Bank of America account, the Bank of America application process said it could not identify me as a human, so I need to call someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel the same way. Here it is. In fact, my Summit card just arrived. Look at that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, your mail comes really
There you go.
early. You get your mail at 10 o'clock in the morning?
What's that?
And now
You
we have
get your
your
mail
home
at 10
address.
o'clock in the morning?
That's been sitting there for a couple of days.
Oh, okay. That excited to open it up.
That excited. So I guess my question to you, Julian, is how much of your spending are you putting on that card? Because like Richard said, he's putting his rent on it. I've sort of come across this, like, I think I want to get the card for the sign-up bonus, then figure out how much spending I'm going to put on it. But I'm like, I think I'm leaving some value on the table for other currencies if I put a lot of spend on that card.
Yeah, so it's a really good question because I've thought about this. I think there's 2 aspects to it, right? There's the part that first Richard just mentioned, which is the rent part, right? It doesn't make sense because I do currently use Bilt and put my rent on my Bilt card. Do I want to instead move that over, pay the fee? Maybe, maybe not. That part I'm not sure of. I still like the Bilt points because I just the flexibility for them. And I think I might want 1 Bilt point with no fee versus 3 Alaska Miles with the fee.
Sure.
But then separately, as far as actual spend, I can tell you right now, this envelope is going to be opened here literally today because I am shortly leaving for an overseas trip to Europe.
Yeah.
In fact, we're doing our offsite for PointsPath, our first ever team offsite. And we're doing it in Europe because our folks are located all around the world. So that's actually the central point. And that will be my go-to card for the entire trip because of the 3x foreign transaction multiplier. And normally I would have used like something stupid like, an Amex Platinum or whatever that didn't really earn much just because to avoid the foreign transaction fees. I might have had like a Chase Sapphire reserve for dining or something like that. But in this case, I'll probably just put it all on that card because it'll just be easy and I can just pull that card every time I need it. So to answer your question, pretty much anytime I leave the country, that's going to be my go-to card.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it feels like with that and then 3x on dining, it's feasible to imagine that you'd hit was the first global companion certificate 25,000 points?
25?
Yeah.
I think it's 25.
Yeah, I think where I struggle is getting to that 100,000 point level, because that would mean really going all in and moving stuff off of other cards to get to that 100,000 level, which like it's a great benefit, but I think it'd be tough for a normal like everyday person to hit that level unless you're really going all in on this card.
Or if you move your rent over, right? And that is part of that second part of the calculation. It doesn't make sense to move it over to get the 100K. And I haven't decided on that yet.
Well, I guess Richard, because I think you're capped on how much rent spends, either $25,000 or $50,000 that you're capped at, but you still got the rest of it. And
50, right?
And even with Mr. Kerr living the bougie lifestyle in New York, you've got other spending you're going to need to put on that card to get to your 100,000. Do you think you'll hit 100,000 in spend on the Summit card?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna get to that first threshold, max out the 50,000 and spend on rent for 150,000 at most points, and then that'll be it for the card for me.
Richard, I have a question. I just want to confirm because I know there's that 50K cap. Is that per card or is that per year?
It is per card.
So I could theoretically do the 50K on Alaska and then move over if I have enough rent in the year to built and do more.
Oh yeah, I mean, so the 50,000 spend on the Alaska card has nothing to do with your built limit. Like that's they're mutually exclusive, if I'm understanding your question correctly. So it's 100,000 points. That's built. That's not impacted at all by the spend of what you do with Alaska. No.
Gotcha. That's what I was trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's two separate thresholds, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So unless you have just an astronomical amount of rent, I don't think you're gonna hit the cap on both.
You mean like if you live in New York City?
Yeah.
The New York City, not the Astoria.
Right. That's correct. If you in the New York City, like Richard Kerr does.
You don't live in New York City, Julian. You live in Astoria.
I live in Queens. It's not New York. They're animals out here. I mean, animals. My God.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can see one right on the screen.
It really makes me want to watch Coming to America with Eddie Murphy again.
What a great movie.
Oh, yeah. Want to go to Queens.
McDowell's. No. We how's it go? We don't have special sauce on our burger.
Yeah. It always brings it back to the burgers, no matter what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, you're the one that brought up dry cleaning, though. This is just still a sore subject for me.
And me. There's two of us.
Are you really wearing a dress shirt every day to work, though?
I would say 3 out of the 5 days I am now. We just have so many people coming in the office here. Well, the corporate world, this is one of the 5 weeks that they work throughout the year. A little known secret is nobody works during the summer. They come back from Labor Day and they need a week after Labor Day to catch up on not working from the summer. Then they begin to work. But, we're coming up on Thanksgiving here, so we've only got about 3 more weeks of work and then the holidays start. So there's a lot going on in these 5 weeks.
You get a lot of dress shirts. Yeah.
A lot of
yeah. Richards, I will say, because I do understand the issue and I have experienced it myself with the dry cleaners, do the laundering option, do the cheaper laundering option. It's fine.
Launder
you don't
and fold,
need to have them dry cleaned.
Yeah.
Launder and fold.
But what if the tax is dry clean only? Just buy a new shirt.
Yeah, just tell them it's fine. You waive that.
What shirts are you buying? What dress shirts at Costco are you buying that are dry clean only?
You buy the wrong shirt is the answer.
I don't know. I just read the tag. It's all from this. It's a pretty boutique store. Recommendation from some of the folks at work. It's called Men's Warehouse. I'm sitting
here absolutely stunned that the Richard Kerr that I know and love bought dry clean only dress shirts. Like that's something.
I don't have time to iron, right? So if they wash and fold, then I got to either iron at night or wake up early and iron the shirt. And I just don't want to do that.
They really, you don't. They fold it and it's pretty much unwrinkled. You're good to go. Trust me.
And I gotta say, as much as I would say, we usually talk about Topo Chico as trying to get them as a sponsor of the show. I'm holding up the bottle.
If anybody's listening this week, we're open to sponsorships.
Mm-hmm. No, here's another plug for somebody that's not paying us money. And there are lots of brands like this, but take Mizzen in Maine as an example. That's what I have for quote unquote dress shirts. They go in the laundry just fine. They come out with no wrinkles, look great. There are plenty of, I hate to tell you this, there are plenty of men's quote unquote dress shirts that are not dry clean only that look just fine and don't wrinkle. I think Untuck It.
I agree. Yeah.
Isn't that the whole Untuck
Yeah.
It thing? I've never tried the Untuck It, but I think Untuck It's are the same.
I think their thing is that you untuck it. I think that's their
Yeah.
bit. I don't think it has anything to do with wrinkles. Yeah. Here's another little tip for all you travel here. Getting back to actual travel.
Wait,
for a
wait,
second.
wait. This is a travel podcast?
This is a travel hack, a travel tip. If you pack and you have your dress shirts and you're all folded up in your suitcase, right? You pull them out and they're all kind of a mess or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to pull out the iron and all that. I used to do this on the road when I was on the road for WWE many years ago. And in fact, this was somebody there told me this tip. You take the shirt out, put it on a hanger, hang it in the bathroom.
Turn the hot water.
And then in the morning, when you go into shower, you'll get a lot of steam and that will help the shirt to fall out. And that is a good way to get rid. It's not going to get rid of really, really bad wrinkles, but for just the little wrinkles that you might have had from having it packed, it will work very well.
Groundbreaking travel hacks on the Miles to Go podcast.
So Richard, you could do the same you could just hang it up in your bathroom. So that hack works even when you're at home. Just so you know, you don't have to be on the road. That works at home too.
I'm gonna add a hack here, and it's the only reason I go to a dry cleaner nowadays. So periodically, I will go to the dry cleaner with something that probably doesn't even really need to be dry cleaned, but I need the dry cleaning bags. So the bags that they bring the clothes in, if you just put your shirts in those bags when you pack, the dry cleaning bags keep the shirt from getting wrinkled. So
that is also yeah.
So
Ed, you do know a lot about dry cleaning.
I do.
You know a lot about dry cleaning.
I do.
Isn't a dry cleaning bag just a piece of plastic?
It is, but I don't recommend a Target bag to shove your dress shirt in. So you need a bigger piece of plastic.
It's been my problem. I've been using Target bags to shove my dress shirts.
Somehow you have Target bags and you have dress shirts or dry clean only. I'm very confused.
Oh, I am going to Target today. There's a lovely one just 2 blocks down, and by lovely I mean not at all, but it is a Target. So,
all right, let's try and talk actual travel because
how much of this show is being edited out? How much of this is actually going to make it to the podcast?
Not any. Yeah. But we do want to talk about points bath before we run out of time. But I want to talk about something that I asked Richard in pre-show that, to be clear, none of us have talked about. So this could be an epic failure. But I'm starting to see like bits and pieces of things that look like actual travel slowdown. And then you told me in pre-show, Richard, that you just booked a Disney cruise at a massive discount, which I almost unheard of. So talk a little bit about what you booked a holiday Disney cruise at a discount. And I understand there are folks here who have no kids and have no idea what we're talking about. That's very unicorn-ish.
Yeah. Again, because the school's calendar, the only time we can take a cruise, which we love to do as a family, is over the holidays, and typically would never even search Disney because they're, what do they call it, very maritime Christmas cruise or whatever we've always wanted to do. But anytime that they start these, which is the week in November all the way through December, incredibly expensive. You're talking $7,000-8,000 for a family of 4, not in the wheelhouse for us. But they sent out an email last week that said specific cruises for the rest of 2025 40% off. Again, being the skeptic I am, I'm like, yeah, there's very rarely you're going to see actual 40% savings because there's usually an asterisk and up to and like all this kind of stuff. And it's going to be, the week after Thanksgiving when everybody is, right back in school. But I'll be gosh darn if we didn't look at a Fort Lauderdale cruise the week of Thanksgiving that was actually 40% off. And I still keep my travel agent hustle going. So that's about another, I think 14% commission I got, which puts this cruise on par with, dare I say it, like a Royal Caribbean or Norwegian or, kind of cruise. So we booked it up, man, legitimate savings. And, I couldn't believe it. So I like a Disney cruise on the holiday week in a balcony stateroom for, what we paid for. It's pretty fantastic. So that tells me those ships are empty.
Yeah. And I'll say we talk a lot about Thrifty Traveler on the show. I haven't seen like a wealth of incredible deals. There are a couple that have dropped in terms of award sales, but I'm seeing a lot of softness on pricing in Vegas past Labor Day. We talked on the show about how cheap it was for me in the summertime to be staying, at Resorts World and Venetian and stuff like that. But I'm on an offer in September and October where stay 4 nights, pay for 3 at Resorts World, with the $100 dining credit and the free breakfast and all that. And so I'm continuing to see, a lot of softness. I've gotten email offers from the MGM casinos, the Venetian casinos, and Wynn, all offering dining credits on stays, which seems to be the pocket way they're discounting right now. But also room rates that are significantly lower than what I saw this time last year. So airfare still hasn't come down to Vegas, but I've seen quite a bit of softening in what they're charging for hotels and for the benefits that they're giving to people, free meals and stuff like that.
That's great if you get the hotels for cheap, because everything else in Vegas, like we've talked about, it's just like, it's so expensive, man. Like they got to get folks in the door.
So I have both anecdotal evidence or anecdotal data and actual data on this point. I'll start with the anecdotal data, which I'm sure you guys may have seen. Air France has a offer out right now for 10,000 bonus points for U.S. travelers booking an economy flight to and from an international economy flight. That's pretty amazing, frankly. I don't remember any sort of promotion like that in recent memory.
No.
Targeted at U.S. customers, at U.S.-based travelers. So I think that's a very clear sort of data point of, well, where are we at as far as international demand? But when it comes to actual data, one of the things we do at PointsPath is that we, of course, have, nearly 100,000 users now and doing tens of thousands of searches every day. And every time you do a search and you get the cash prices and the points prices on a set of flights, we also get a copy of that data, not your personal data, but the pricing. And we've been able to analyze it, and we've done a lot of digging into it. And I can tell you that basically for all of 2025 to this point, we're seeing domestic economy actually not that lower, a little bit cheaper, about down maybe a third of a percentage point, but international pricing in economy down over 4%. And these are cash prices, by the way. And fascinatingly, business and first down between 7 and 14% in cash pricing. And actually the mileage pricing is similar. It's a little bit different, but it's sort of directionally the same. Now, what's really interesting is that so far, that's basically pricing up through Thanksgiving. If you then dig into the holidays, of course, pricing always goes up in the holidays, but we are actually seeing it higher right now year over year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now, again, we're only in September here. Prices will go up as we go. We're looking at data, for all of the holiday season in 2024 versus to this point in 2025. So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison like the other stuff. But basically, the takeaway is, we're definitely seeing softer pricing to this point of the year. Might not hold through the holidays, but we'll see.
That's interesting because from what I could tell, looking through, somebody made a comment about the stretching of the holiday season for airlines, the summer holiday season, and I tried to poke around a little bit on the Cerium data, and it did seem like some traditionally seasonal flights were running further into the shoulder seasons, and so maybe folks were spreading that travel out a bit. But I don't know if that's a byproduct of just more total planes, so there's capacity. I really wasn't able to draw that clear of a line, but it's surprising to hear that you're talking about potential double-digit changes in the price for premium tickets. Like that's significant.
Yeah. It is. And look, Delta and United have said, they're seeing premium hold up pretty well, which I believe the demand is there, but are they having to lower some prices to get there?
Right.
They certainly may be filling the seats, but it may not be getting quite as good of a premium as they were last year at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, and maybe this is just notional and I'm just not looking in the right places, or, Thrifty hasn't shown us the right alerts, but it doesn't feel like there have been more award sales this year than last year. So if demand is potentially softening, if prices are down, I think this leads more towards either airlines are being stingy and trying to leave those seats open for last minute cash prices, or to your point, they're doing a better job selling these tickets at lower prices and not opening up the award inventory.
Yeah, and I think that's also where upgrades come in, right? I think airlines are getting
upgrade?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, airlines are getting more aggressive than ever about selling those upgrades right up to the last second, even if it requires lowering the price down to almost nothing, because it's still better than the seat going to a free upgrade to an elite or going out empty. So I think that we have not seen a lot of additional award sales year over year, and so I don't think we're going to. Pricing wise, again, directionally, the mileage pricing is tracking fairly similarly to cash pricing. So where it is even with last year, it's roughly even in miles, and same thing where it's down, it's down. So I think that the airlines are not necessarily using awards to dump inventory. they seem to basically be keeping it on par with cash value as they have last year.
Mrs. Kerr was offered an upgrade from Delta Economy to Delta One on her flight to Paris last week, and she was on a Virgin Award ticket on Delta for the very low price of $4,300. She could have upgraded into Delta
Nice.
One. Yeah.
I assume she took it.
No, she didn't. She didn't. She
didn't?
She didn't take it. No.
Because if she had taken it, you would never get anything dry cleaned ever again.
Oh, if she'd taken it, she might have a different last name, but that's a story for different days.
Well, and I wonder too, I mean, like when we think about this, I mean, so there's not likely to be significant increase in wide body deliveries next year. I mean, the 777X is delayed until, sometime after all three of us retire. We're still waiting for the MAX 10, but I think both Airbus and Boeing are predicting increases in airframe deliveries in 2026. And when we see the MAX, I'll use the MAX as an example, and then I have a little anecdote on the MAX to touch on before we leave on my personal flying. But we see the MAX being stretched on some of these routes. I just wonder, not that that's in most cases, not that there's a premium seat on board like a lie flat or something like that, but where they're covering these longer thin routes. I wonder if we'll continue to see this sort of pricing pressure on international flights next year with even more capacity coming into the market. Maybe not over the Atlantic because we're not going to see a ton more wide bodies, but I mean, there can be a lot more planes next year. And to Richard's earlier point about is Spirit going to be around by the end of the year, that there's a pretty big fleet of Airbus planes that might be going to somebody else as well that need to fly.
Yep.
Very compelling answers. I appreciate both of you very much.
No, look, you're absolutely right. I don't see, I think, again, we're seeing prices flat to down 25 versus 24. And I know I mentioned international premium being down. International economy is also down based on it's not down quite as much, but we're down, about 4 or 5% on international economy
I'm
pricing.
surprised international economy isn't down more just because there's so many economy seats on these planes.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that I don't think this is changing in 26. If anything, I think it continues for a couple of reasons. One, there's a lot of economic uncertainty still floating around out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ways that this could go. But then to your point that you just said, could potentially be a lot more supply available as well. And if that demand is not going to come back up anytime soon, hopefully we'd see some really great deals out there in 2026.
Well, and this is a very small microcosm, but I mean, Richard and I talked about this, I think, on last episode about how United is going to keep the Nook service for next year, which is their Greenland flight. That flight has performed, from everything I've heard, that flight is performing pretty miserably, and they've had operational challenges with it as well. But then you just get to this, this saturation level where they've got to send the plane somewhere or it makes no money.
Right. Right. If it's sitting down the ground, not going anywhere, then right. Yeah. But almost you could say, well, are they losing money by flying it?
I mean, at the load factors I've heard, 40 and 50%, I have to imagine they're losing a ton of money. So it does make you wonder why they wouldn't even just try to reposition it and do more, Iceland flights or something like that, or add more of the Alaska nonstops from the East Coast. But, I think it's, if they're going to get more planes next year and it's not a 1-for-1 replacement on fleet, I think we're going to continue to see this sort of pressure. All right, well, before we get out of here, I know Mr. Kerr has lots of important things to do. Came up in the Slack community last night, both in chat and on Happy Hour. Mr. Kheel, you want to give a brief update on Points Path as it relates to the wonderful world of Safari?
Ah, yes, that's right. Yeah, so, Points Path started as a Chrome desktop browser extension. We released it last January 24, so it's been about 20 months or so. And then a couple months ago, we did release our Safari desktop extension, which has been popular. But what everybody has continuously asked us is, when can I get it on my phone? When can I get it on my tablet? And we have just, in the last week, started releasing that to our Founders Club members, Points Path for iPhones and iPads. And so far, we've gotten some really great responses. I know, I will say, I don't know that I realized how much I would enjoy using Points Path on an iPad. It's very fast. It's very snappy. It's real easy to navigate. It's very much exactly the same experience as far as visually that you would get if you were seeing it at your computer. And I think it's great. I mean, I'm tooting my own horn a little bit here, but I think it's a really, really great experience. All of the features in Points Path are in the tablet and iPhone versions. For paid members, that means you get your, price alerts and you get your 7-day calendar and all of that stuff. and it all happens automatically with your existing login. But yeah, we're letting our Founders Club members play with it for a while. And we'll then, probably in maybe a month or so, we'll bring it to everyone. And I'm excited about that. The phone one is good too. The only thing about that is I do think the Google Flights experience itself is just not as good on mobile as it is on desktop and tablet. And that is simply just the way it is. But I think we've done a pretty good job of implementing PointsPath into.
As a Founders Club member, how do I get this on my iPad?
So you should have received a email, a couple of emails. You have to read your emails. That's
step one.
Yeah, unless you unsubscribed, which knowing you might have. You would receive an email that says we're inviting people, Founders Club members, to try it out, and then you would have to add your name to the list. Because when you do these, the way you do test or keep an app or an extension to a limited audience is you have to run it through Apple's test flight. And so we can do it that way and bring people in by invite. So our Founders Club members got an email. Are you a Founders Club member, Richard?
I am. And I am subscribed to product announcements, weekend roundup, and deal alerts. And I don't have any emails from you, my friend.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah,
I'm going to look it right now. Is it your built email or is it your personal?
It's the personal email. Anyways, while he does that, I do have to run, gents. We're here recording here on...
where is he going? Where is he going?
We're recording here on a Wednesday in the middle of the day. I'm still on solo dad mode while keeping the day job going, and holy moly, it's a lot.
All right. Well, Mr. Kerr, we hope you have a great rest of your week.
Adios, amigos.
All right, Mr. Kheel, did you want to give us a brief sneak peek into that European trip? Where are you heading overseas?
Yeah, we're going to be in Amsterdam, actually. We're going to meet there. I actually was just in Amsterdam, so it wasn't necessarily where I had intended to do it, but it just ended up being the right mix of, people being able to get visas, because again, we have people from all around the world who work on PointsPath, people being able to get visas, people being able to, get there in a reasonable amount of time, and, a place that has stuff that we could also, do as a group together and things like that. So yeah, I am looking forward to it next week, and what the focus of that offsite is going to be is what is our plan for 2026 for PointsPath. And I will go ahead and mention, I think it'll still be live when this comes out. We just yesterday sent out a survey to everybody on PointsPath, free members, paid members, everybody, a user survey asking you, what do you want to see next in PointsPath? We've done a lot in the last year since we last did this survey. We've added pretty much all of those features I just mentioned, is price alerts and points calendar and all of that. And we have a lot of ideas on what we want to do, but we want to know what you want us to do. So it takes about 5 minutes to fill out the survey. If you got it in your email, please absolutely click through, tell us what you want, because when we are sitting in Amsterdam next week, the very first thing we're going to do is look at all of those answers together. And that's going to drive our entire discussion for the whole week.
Nice. I like it. All right. Well, we can include a link to that survey in the show notes if you'd like.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
I'd also be curious to hear how you're getting to Amsterdam. Are you going bougie for a Delft house on KLM? Are we doing Delta economy like Richard ships his wife out? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, listen, right. What is Richard doing? I'm sorry he left, because I forgot I wanted to bring this up. That Richard is flying his wife in economy.
Well, I'm sure you heard it. I'm sure you heard it on last week's podcast episode when you listened. We talked about it in great detail.
Yes, no, I understand. I of course read the show notes. And yeah, what's wrong with that guy? I mean, does he not have any points and miles? Can we get him some points and miles?
He claims, and I quote, that his wife told him to book it that way.
Yeah, there's no way she told him that. Has anybody asked his wife?
No.
If this is correct?
No.
I'm going to wait till she gets back from overseas, and then we will actually inquire on this. I will be coming. I am going a little bit bougie, but not really. I'm in American business on the way there.
That's pretty bougie.
It's a little bougie, and then actually on the way back, I'm jumping down to Frankfurt and taking Singapore's flight home.
Oh, very nice.
Also in business. And the reason I'm doing that, frankly, and I just booked that literally today, is that it popped open at 60,000 Air Canada miles.
Oh, wow.
Plus like $200, which is a great deal for Singapore business transatlantic. For people who say might be not be knowledgeable or might not know why Singapore between Frankfurt and JFK, it is a fifth freedom flight. It actually runs Singapore to Frankfurt and then Frankfurt to JFK, but you can get just the Frankfurt to JFK part. And that's how Singapore flies it. And they've flown it for many years. And it's a great experience. I've done it in the past. So I booked that at 60,000 miles. And, so I'm flying in comfort and saving the company some cash.
I think you and I had tickets booked on that flight sometime either in COVID or
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah. I think we actually even had it booked in first, if I recall.
I mean, very well could be, yeah. And I'm sure I lost those miles at some point due to negligence on my
Probably. Part. Yeah, well, 3 years. Yeah. But this is just business. So I'm not going full bougie. And also, it's the 777. It's not A380, so you wouldn't be getting the full suites if you were in first. But yeah.
And what is American, and then we got to get out of here. What is American flying New York, Amsterdam? Is it a 78?
That's also 777. I think it's the 777-300ER.
Gotcha.
I think it was. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Kheel. Well, I will look forward to hearing about your Amsterdam trip when you get back. You need to come back on the show and share what Delft houses you picked up for me while you were over in Amsterdam with the audience to help me fill out the collection.
Ed, everywhere I go, the first thing I think is, what am I going to get Ed? What gift can I get Ed?
Well, I think
top of the list.
I think that's valid. I mean, especially since you didn't invite me on the trip, so I'm a little sad.
Ed, you are completely invited right now.
Perfect.
If you would like to come.
Just in time for me to book.
I am sure. Well, actually, you probably get a great last minute ticket, so the miles. But I'm sure that one of the things you want to do is spend 3 days sitting in a hotel conference room with a lot of product and dev people.
I mean, you never know. I've done worse. All right, Mr. Kheel, well, I hope you enjoy your trip overseas. We need to have you back on in the very near future to ridicule Mr. Kurt more about his choices for how he books his wife on airline tickets. But until we get that chance, and until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
I think that a couple of mic snobs here who are bullying me, and I think it's good. I should stop. I think it should come to an end. I'm going to start a show of my own for people who are proud of their microphones.